Laudetur Jesus Christus, Vatican and World News.
Today, Thursday, March 25th, is the Solemnity of the Annunciation of the Lord, and these are the headlines. Pope Francis issues an apostolic letter on the 700th anniversary of the death of Italian poet Dante Alighieri. The Council of Bishops' Conferences of Europe celebrates its 50th anniversary, and the Holy See draws attention to the situation of women today during a meeting of the UN Commission on the Status of Women. In the Vatican, I'm Father Benedict Mayaki. Pope Francis releases an apostolic letter entitled Candor Lucis Aeternae, marking the 700th anniversary of the death of the great Italian poet Dante Alighieri. In it, the Pope highlights the relevance, timelessness, and depth of faith in Dante's masterpiece, The Divine Comedy. Linda Bordoni has that story.
700 years from his death in 1321, when exiled in Ravenna from his beloved Florence, Dante still speaks to us. He speaks to the men and women of today, asking to be read and studied, but also to be listened to and imitated in his journey towards happiness, that is, the infinite and eternal love of God. Pope Francis had already announced his wish to contribute to the anniversary celebrations for Italy's most beloved poet, whom he describes as a true prophet of hope. What's more, in this time of pandemic, a time of pain, fear and despair, Dante, who lived through similar anguish and uncertainty, shows us how faith and beauty can flourish even in a devastated land. In his apostolic letter, Candor Lucis Aeternae, or Splendor of Eternal Life, the Pope notes it is not accidental that the date of publication falls on the solemnity of the Annunciation of the Lord, that stems from Mary's full and total acceptance of God's plan. Divided into 9 paragraphs, the apostolic letter begins with a brief excursus into the thoughts of various pontiffs regarding Dante. Pope Francis emphasizes the perennial timeliness and importance of his work, noting it is an integral part of our culture that takes us back to the Christian roots of Europe and embodies that patrimony of ideals and values that the Church and civil society continue to propose. The 16-page apostolic letter contains reflections on different aspects of the Divine Comedy, its symbols and call to humanity to free itself from the dark forest of sin, find the right path and thus reach the fullness of life and time in history and eternal beatitude in God. The path indicated by Dante is a true pilgrimage, the Pope points out. It's realistic and within the reach of all, because God's mercy always offers the possibility of change and conversion. I'm Linda Bordoni.
Thursday marks the 25th anniversary since the publication of Pope St. John Paul II's Apostolic Exhortation on Consecrated Life. The prefect of the Congregation for Institutes of Consecrated Life and Societies of Apostolic Life commemorated the publication of Vita Consacrata by urging consecrated men and women to bear witness to the beauty of Christ through their joyful service. Devin Watkins tells us more.
The prefect of the Congregation for Institutes of Consecrated Life and Societies of Apostolic Life released a letter on Thursday to commemorate an important milestone for all men and women who have dedicated their lives to God in a special way. Cardinal João Braz de Aviz recalled the 25th anniversary of the Apostolic Exhortation Vita Consacrata. He opened his letter by thanking all consecrated persons for responding to God's call to service. As the world deals with the many effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, Cardinal de Aviz invited them to personally awaken in everyone a sense of hope. Despite the exhortation being published in a time of great uncertainty and weak commitments, he said, the document gave a surprisingly firm definition of consecrated life, calling it an icon of the transfigured Christ. Consecrated men and women, he added, reveal the glory and the face of the Father in the luminous splendor of the Spirit. As such, they should integrate the divine and human in their daily service, combining the sublime beauty to be contemplated and the distressing poverty to be served. Cardinal de Aviz went on to reflect on the centrality of relationship in the life of consecrated persons. He said the relationship generated in and by Trinitarian communion leads them to seek communal holiness, not of perfect solitaries but of poor sinners who daily share and offer each other mercy and understanding. The Cardinal noted that Vita Consacrata introduced a new element in the formation of consecrated men and women. Religious formation, he said, is understood as seeking to help the person have the same sentiments as the obedient Son, the suffering servant, the innocent Lamb. Consecrated persons are therefore called to develop such a profound relationship with Jesus that they love humanity with a divine heart. Beauty, noted the Cardinal, is one of God's traits and therefore an important part of being consecrated to Him. In a world which risks sinking into disturbing brutality, he said, the way of beauty seems to be the only path to arrive at the truth or to make it credible and attractive. I'm Devin Watkins.
The Council of Bishops' Conferences of Europe celebrates today its 50th anniversary with a message from its presidency promoting dialogue between religions and addressing the challenges posed by the pandemic. Lydia O'Kane has more.
On the 25th of March 1971, the Council of the European Bishops' Conferences was born under the gaze of the Mother of Christ and of the Church, who would subsequently be venerated as Queen of Europe. The Council is made up of 39 members, 33 of which are national bishops' conferences. It also includes the Archbishops of Luxembourg, the Principality of Monaco, the Maronite Archbishop of Cyprus and the Bishops of Moldova, the Eparchy of Mukachevo and the Apostolic Administration of Estonia. In a message addressed to the European bishops for this Jubilee, the Presidency recalled the purpose for which the CCEE was established, promoting the meeting of the bishops' conferences, reciprocal knowledge, the exchange of experiences, a proclamation of Christ, pastoral care and its future. CCEE President Cardinal Angelo Bagnasco and Vice Presidents Archbishop Stanislaw Gadecki and Cardinal Vincent Nichols highlight the different challenges that await the Church in Europe in the near future, which includes the persistent de-Christianization of Europe, as well as the current pandemic, which they say affects people in their health, in the family, in the economy, at work, in social relationships and even in the religious life. Added to this, they point out, is the advance of an individualistic culture that leads to withdrawal into micro-worlds with repercussions on peoples. In particular, the Presidency underlined the necessity to pay attention to the dialogue between all religions as a basis for building a fraternal world, as well as an urgent commitment to the creation of which we are all custodians. These are challenges to which Pope Francis draws attention and offers operational guidelines, they say. Despite these current challenges, the Presidency note that it is also the hour of awakening of consciences, an awakening that is perhaps slow but inescapable. To mark this milestone anniversary, the Council has unveiled a new logo. The 50th anniversary of the CCEE will be celebrated in Rome at the September Plenary Assembly in the presence of Pope Francis. I'm Lydia O'Kane.
The Cardinals of Asia have launched an appeal for peace, reconciliation and an end to the violence in Myanmar. The 12 cardinals signed a joint message expressing their closeness to the people and the Catholic Church of Myanmar, especially Cardinal Charles Bo of Yangon, in their peaceful struggle for peace and democracy. Robin Gomes has more on that.
We, the Cardinals of Asia, join in making a fervent appeal to all concerned, the military, the politicians, the demonstrators, all religious leaders and the Church. Peace, peace, peace. Peace is possible, peace is necessary, read a joint statement signed by the 12 Cardinals of Asia. The initiative was led by the Federation of Asian Bishops' Conferences, FABC, under the leadership of its president, Myanmar Cardinal Charles Bo of Yangon. Since the February 1st military coup, the entire nation has been in turmoil with protests and a civil disobedience strike demanding the release of the elected leader Aung San Suu Kyi and others and the restoration of democracy. The military has, however, taken a hard stand, with security forces cracking down ruthlessly on peaceful protesters, with more than 270 deaths so far. The cardinals regretted that too much anger, too much violence, too much bloodshed, too much suffering and pain have been inflicted on a peace-loving people which only seeks unity, harmony, and an opportunity for progress in freedom. Evoking the powerful image of the brave Catholic Xaverian nun Sister Anne Nu Tong, who went down on her knees and pleaded with folded hands with the police in the northern city of Myitkyina not to harm the peaceful protesters, the cardinal said, "The people of Myanmar are peace-loving and only seek an opportunity for progress. They have been law-abiding and only seek harmony and end to violence." Expressing their closeness to Cardinal Bo, they said they support his efforts for a speedy resolution to the conflict. Violence and force, they said, are never a solution as they lead to more pain, suffering and destruction. I am Robin Gomes.
In Ethiopia, the National Human Rights Commission says that Eritrean soldiers killed more than 100 civilians in a November massacre in war-torn Tigray that may amount to crimes against humanity. The findings were released on Wednesday by the government-affiliated but independent Ethiopian Human Rights Commission. They corroborate separate investigations by other human rights groups into the same killings in the historic town of Aksum. The latest report comes after Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed admitted for the first time that Eritrean troops had crossed the border into Tigray and suggested that they may have been involved in abuses against civilians. Before that, Ethiopia and Eritrea had for months denied the involvement of Asmara's forces in the conflict and described reports of the attacks in the region as misinformation and propaganda. North Korea launched 2 suspected ballistic missiles into the sea near Japan on Thursday, underscoring steady progress in its weapons program and ramping up pressure on the new U.S. administration. The apparent tests were reported by authorities in the United States, South Korea, and Japan, and coincided with the start of the Olympic torch relay in Japan. They will be the first ballistic missile test by North Korea in nearly a year and the first reported since U.S. President Joe Biden took office in January. The UN is holding a commission on the status of women, which is due to end tomorrow. Representing the Holy See at the meetings is Dr. Francesca Di Giovanni, an official with the Vatican section on relations with states of the Holy See. As Francesca Merlo reports, she dedicated her address to 3 main topics: violence against women, the participation of women in public life, and integral human development.
Opening her statement, Dr. Di Giovanni noted that significant efforts have been made at the local, national and international levels to prevent and punish violence against women and girls in the last 25 years, since the 4th World Conference on Women, which rendered a great service by casting a spotlight on violence towards women and girls. However, she continued, there is more to be done. Dr. Di Giovanni noted that in many places, stay-at-home orders have coincided with increased calls to domestic violence helplines. At the same time, women and girls also experience abuse and exploitation through human trafficking, particularly sex trafficking, she said, in which the girls are assaulted, raped, exploited, and sometimes even forced to undergo abortions. Helping victims must involve ensuring the safety of women and girls and providing them with psychosocial, medical, financial and legal assistance in order to foster their healing and social reintegration. Dr. Di Giovanni then noted that tragically there are practices in many of our societies that aid trafficking and violence against women and girls through their objectification and commodification, such as in pornography. Pornography accustoms men and increasingly boys to view women and girls as objects to be used rather than persons to be respected. Going on to speak of women's participation in public life, Dr. Di Giovanni said that the Holy See affirms the importance and urgency of the promotion of women so that they may realize their full potential and contribute to the common good of society. Concluding her statement, Dr. Di Giovanni spoke of the importance of ensuring that all girls and women have access to education. It is indispensable, she said. The better the education they receive, the greater the opportunities open to them. Finally, she warned, integral human development needs the voice and the experiences of women. I'm Francesca Merlo.
That brings us to the end of this edition of Vatican and World News. For more on these and other stories and to hear this broadcast as a podcast, please be sure to visit our web portal at www.vaticannews.va. Many thanks to the sound engineers in studio. In the Vatican, I'm Father Benedict Mayaki.